Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. This is where accounting professionals just like you come to learn the most efficient and powerful ways to grow their firm, sharpen their sales skills, and have consistent, increasing revenue. We cover topics from sales, networking, handling objections, negotiation, pricing, finding those ideal clients, and how to get rid of the ones that just don't suit you and how to set those boundaries so you can stop giving away your time, working for free, putting yourself on sale, and really start to get paid for the value and the worth that you bring to your clients. You'll learn tips, strategies, as well as hear others from personal interviews from successful accounting professionals. This podcast will show you exactly how to create the firm and life of your dreams full of abundance. Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. Our special guest is a professional speaker, a 5-time best-selling author, and has spent over 35 years teaching, entertaining, and inspiring audiences worldwide. His career has taken him over 2.5 million miles in the air, and he spoke and taught sales with Toyota, Disney, NASA, Lilly, and many other financial institutions. His books have also been featured in USA Today, Harvard Business Review, and Publishers Weekly, and have been translated into over a dozen languages. But before we welcome our very special guests to the show, if you're an accounting, tax, bookkeeping, or fractional CFO firm owner, and you feel stuck at about $50,000, $100,000 of revenue, and you wonder how the heck can you grow your firm without sacrificing more time, energy, or sanity, I want you to know you're not alone, and it's not your fault. You were taught how to do great technical accounting, tax, bookkeeping work, but not how to confidently sell it. Here at the Abundant Accountant, I show you not only how to double your firm revenue, how to get paid up front, but how to finally stop trading time for dollars so that every single sales call you make, you do it without freezing up and without being pushy. If you would like to find out what's really blocking your firm's growth and how to fix it, head on over to theabundantcall.com and book your free strategy session with me and my team. And now, let's welcome our special guest, Rob Jolles, to the show. Welcome, Rob, to the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Good to be back.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you back here on the Abundant Accountant Podcast. I'm very excited for our conversation today because I think a lot of new business owners are going to really resonate with what we're talking about today. And new firm owners that, want to maybe transition from a job into starting their own business. But then there's some things that maybe they haven't thought of yet. But before we dive in, I'd love it if you could share who you are and what you do, in case, I did your bio, but I always think it's better if it comes from you.
Yeah. Okay. Rob Jolles here. And what do I do? It's funny. I was looking the other day. I do a lot of things, but I'm mainly a meat and potatoes. I've been delivering seminars, workshops, writing books for 40 years now. Got about 3 million miles in the air. Wow. And typically work. My first half of my career was working in classic sales situations. Lots of financial institutions, wirehouses, brokerage firms, banks, you name it, insurance companies. But I always sort of dreamt of, wouldn't it be great if we really sort of talk to everyone else that's selling, that's afraid to even use the word. Yeah. So we wrote some books that sort of took the dollar signs off the cover and started working with NASA and police officers and hostage negotiators and polygraph examiners and just really kind of eclectic group of people that also need to persuade doctors, nurses, things like that. So, that's really what I do. Now, I'm a live auctioneer for charities. I'm on a podcast like you. I've got little side hustles, but I think I was born with a microphone around my neck. That's really who I am.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think you are such a great speaker and podcast guest. And I would love to have you at an auction if I ever had an auction again in my life, because you would be really a lot of fun. But let's dive into the sales stuff because, like you had just mentioned, there's a lot of people that just avoid the word 100%. And you were working with doctors and nurses and other people, and you said clearly that you had to show them how to persuade others. So, if you were just to break down the word sales for those firm owners right now listening who are terrified of that word or think, well, I have great services, so I shouldn't have to sell anything. What would you say that, maybe resonated with the doctors and the nurses and those that never thought they were in a sales role, but they're with patients every single day?
I think what I'd say to them is it's almost a moral responsibility to stop fearing the word selling. Now, we can use other words like persuasion and influence, but how about we look at it this way? How many people, particularly in the medical industry, do we come in contact with who fear change, who are doing things that are improper, even for accountants? Maybe I'm running my books my way, and you know what? Hey, knock on wood, I've never been caught. Well, okay, then I guess I'll just wait till you do. Or in medical situations, so you're doing some unhealthy things, but blood pressure's good and you're looking pretty good for now. Okay, well, we'll just wait until you aren't. So when I say it's a moral responsibility, I think that for all of us, helping a friend past their fear of change and getting them to actually commit to change is something that we all need to do, particularly in a medical situation or in a financial situation. Because as I'm coming to the tail end of my career, well, I look back even now and think how many conversations I had with people who were really smart and said, you might want to set up your corporation this way, and you might want to start your SEP that way and other things. And I said, yeah, but I'm 32. I'll get to it. And that's when we have to roll up our sleeves and say, you know what? I need to have a different kind of conversation today.
Yeah. And I think that's what we're going to talk about too. But there's some elements that before we can have that conversation, there's a lot of fear about how do I get someone to believe in me? A firm owner, or I was just talking to a friend of mine, Leah, a brand new business owner, psychologist, working to help families that are dealing with children with trauma and tantrums and all this craziness. But I do believe that she's going to have a very difficult time enrolling people into her coaching program because the number one thing, she just doesn't have any belief in herself. She doesn't think people believe her. And it's like, I feel like that's the foundation of anything if you're going to go into entrepreneurship or run your own firm. So I'd love it, Rob, if we can start with that. Like, how does a firm owner start to get past the fear of why don't people believe me?
Yeah, and it's a great question. And even when I wrote the book, Why People Don't Believe You, I wanted to immediately get to, okay, here's how we get people to believe us. Step 1, step 2.
Right.
But what I realized was, wait a minute, if we don't believe in ourselves, how in the world can we get others to believe in us? So I think the question is a good one. And I think it really does begin with ourselves. And there's a couple of thoughts I have here. First of all, it sounds very simple, but I think the first thing we have to remember is that we have to tell the truth. It's absolutely the easiest way to be believed if you believe it yourself. And sometimes, particularly in sales situations, we're put in situations where, I'm hoping I have the best product here. I hope I have a good solution here. And so we have kind of a crisis there. I don't know if we ever talked about this before, but within 2 weeks coming out of the University of Maryland at 21 years old, I was selling life insurance, life, health, disability. I was really good at it. I was number 11 in the nation. I was out of 7,800 agents. I was on magazine covers. I was they nicknamed me the Rocket. I went around the country. It was the first time I ever got to talk to groups, $1 million roundtables. Doesn't this sound wonderful? And yet the problem that I was dealing with was I didn't believe in my solution. No, I believe in life insurance. Don't get me wrong, but I was selling a lot of 21-year-olds life insurance. That's what 21-year-olds tend to do. So I got good at it, but I really didn't believe in the product that I was selling. And so I had sort of a crisis that I went through. And that's one of the reasons why I lasted 2 years, 2 months, about 3 days and an hour and a half as a life insurance salesman. Had nothing to do with whether I could sell the product. It had to do with believing in the product. So right now, our product is us. And we have to believe in ourselves. And that means we have to tell the truth. And it's like I said, it sounds trite. If it's a product, yeah, okay. For me, if I could go back and tap myself on the shoulder, I'd say, all right, why don't we leave the 21-year-olds alone? and why don't we get into some deeper water here? But sometimes it's just kind of a crisis that we deal with internally of, I don't feel comfortable in situations like this. And that's where, and we can roll up our sleeves and I'll keep going, but I just don't want a filler buster. I just think that's one of the first hurdles is the truth.
Yeah. So what would you say to like Leah or even just a firm owner here listening where they believe that they can help and make change? They believe that, like you said, you've got this moral responsibility to help this person in front of you, just like a doctor or a nurse did. Or they're a firm owner and they're helping people like you who want to do their books their way, but do it the right way. And maybe they have a cleanup project or something like that, where they actually do believe in the product that they sell, which is a service for everyone here. It's an actual service product. And they're still battling these internal demons in their head. Like they know they're good at what their work is, but people didn't buy, people didn't engage their firm, people ghosted them, people said they were too expensive, whatever the past history has been. What would you say to a firm owner like that when the product is us, and how do you get past those things?
First thing I might say to them is, because we're sort of dancing around a couple of terms, and let's bring one out on the table right now, that the classic imposter syndrome. We're dancing on it right now. I think one of the first things we have to remind ourselves is that everybody to some level or another suffers from imposter syndrome. It doesn't just pick on the lame and the lazy. It picks on us all. And so we have to control those negative voices. And I really mean that when I say it, because people go, well, okay, well, I don't really speak negatively to myself.
Yeah.
You would be shocked if you really spent and said, tomorrow, all I'm going to do is listen. And I'm going to write down every little snipe that I throw at myself. Okay, stupid, where are the car keys? Okay, well, if you had half a brain, you know how to get out of this driveway. We can just hammer ourselves with these negative voices, and they disguise themselves. They disguise themselves into making you believe that we're just teasing. We're just playing. We're just playing and teasing. These voices are not okay. They will fool you. And if you keep telling yourself that you're not smart or that you're not good at this or that or the other, whether you think it's a joke or not, those voices begin to get louder and they get stronger. And so, one, I am not a fan, nor will I put up with myself, with allowing myself to just start slinging negative thoughts my way. It's not okay. So one is, I'm watching those negative voices, even the quote unquote funny ones. Okay. And I'll throw a second one I'm going to throw two more at you real fast. The second one is balance your feedback. Be nice. I wish people were nicer to themselves. So I know some really nice people. They're really nice to their children and their friends and their significant others and their clients. But when it comes to themselves, they're monsters. When we're working with someone that we care about, and why can't we care about ourselves a little bit more? But when we're working with somebody we care about, we wouldn't dare give them feedback that is out of balance and that is just completely dominated by negative criticism. We balance it out because we're smart. We'll balance it. We know that if we give this person, this friend of ours, too many things to work on, they'll fix nothing. So we tend to get intelligent and say, well, we'll just pick maybe two, and then we'll balance it out with two positive things because a lot of times, if we're really trying to help another individual, we're not always aware of the things we're doing right. So to become more aware and present of that is helpful. And we'll live to fight another day for all the other things that we think we're going to crowbar in. And all I'm asking is if that makes sense to the way you talk to everyone else you care about in your life, why in the world can't we have that conversation with ourselves? Wow. Why can't we balance our feedback? Why can't we limit our feedback? Why can't we go at just one or two and really design an approach to correcting or attempting to correct it? Mm-hmm. So one, I'm trying to control the negative voices and not buying the fact that I'm just playing around. It's not playing around. And two, I am balancing that feedback. And then you give me special permission to crowbar a third one in. So I'm going. Sure. Okay. I was just watching the golf tournament this weekend, and I always smile when I'm watching golf. I'm not a very good golfer. I don't play all that often, but when I do play, I don't really worry about the other person that I'm playing with and what their ball is doing. I watch these pros play. I don't know if you noticed, they'll play for 4 days. They won't look at a scoreboard until maybe 2 or 3 holes to go. They're playing 72 holes over 4 days. They'll look with 2 or 3 holes to go. And why? Because it sounds crazy. I coach basketball. Why am I not looking at the scoreboard? Because in golf, it's a little different. Golf, what everyone else is doing has no effect on your ball. Actually, it has a small effect. It distracts you from what you're trying to do. Right. So watching you swing and putt and do these things only really distracts me. I'm just going to play the course. I'm not going to play my opponent. I'm going to just worry about the things that I can control. The game is so much more fun that way. And that's the way I try and play it in business. There's so many things that we worry about. Well, I mean, there's probably another company in here and I can't even get to this. And there's probably a decision influencers. There may be. Yeah. You have to control what you can control. If you focus on your ball, you'll get the best swing you can possibly put on that ball. So just focusing on ourselves, on what we can control, balancing our feedback to ourselves, and maybe controlling those negative voices. Those are the first, this is like I'm writing a prescription. Those are the first 3 prescriptions I'm giving your friend right now.
Yeah. And I think, I said it to her in a very similar way. And I've shared this with many clients in the past. It has nothing to do with what the firm owner down the street's doing or another business owner in, whatever group. Like, I think that is one of the most important things, Rob, because how I've grown and how I keep moving forward, I don't care about anyone else. I don't look at their numbers. I don't ask for numbers. I just focus on what can I do better today and how do I play, like you said, my own course. You don't have the other opponent. The only opponent is yourself. And I love this golf analogy because if everyone quit looking at the scoreboard, quit looking at, oh, they're doing this podcast or they got this many followers on Instagram or I don't have any social media or whatever your thing is that you are looking at in other firm owners or other business owners, that is the distraction from what you need to be doing, which is playing your own course. I love it. I had no idea that's how golf went. I had no idea that they're playing 3 or 4 days and most of them don't even look at the scoreboard until there's two or three holes. I agree with them. I want nothing. I would not want to know either because it's only going to distract and derail you from focusing on what's the most important thing to move you forward because it's about you winning that tournament or game. It has nothing to do with the other 10 players.
That's exactly right. And when you've played your round that way, even if you don't win, you've played the best round you could play. And even that, we're talking about why people don't believe you. I wish people would stop beating themselves up so
Oh,
much
yeah.
when things don't go their way. Look, I'll beat myself up a little bit when I've been lazy, when I procrastinated, when I put things off, when I didn't give my best, when I
Yeah.
should have done something that I didn't do. Okay, that warrants me looking in the mirror and going, well, all right, now what went on there? But when we've done what we just talked about, which is just stay focused, really play the best numbers that we can, do the things that we've learned to do. I coached a lot of basketball. It's funny, I got out of the habit of breaking a huddle and saying, win. Okay. We
Uh-huh.
never broke up. I never broke a huddle that way after my first season, and I coached almost 50 teams. Uh, we would break with execute. We would break with different things that we could control. All I know is if we execute, if we practice hard, do the things that we know that we're capable of doing, and do them to the best of our ability, no matter what the score says, we walk away with our heads high.
Yeah.
And so yes, there are some really interesting sports analogies that kind
Yeah.
of work their way into our own belief system.
It's actually fascinating. This golf one really has me fascinated because that's the motto I've lived by, and I operate that way in a lot of things. I just did a showcase with a bunch of other ladies from the gym, and I just like keep to myself. I don't ask questions. I don't focus on any other people. It's just like, well, what did I do today to get me closer to what I wanted to achieve? Yeah, I love that. Is there anything else, Rob, for believing in yourself?
Yeah, I'll give you one more, just
Okay.
one more, because I think it's important. Because if I'm listening, I might be sitting on the other side right now, and walking the dog, driving in my car, and going, "Okay, I'll do all that," but I've still, I've struggled. I've been struggling, and to just block it all out sometimes isn't enough. So I'm going to dip into a little bit of acting now. And I'm going to tell you that I think sometimes, I remember when I was young, I used to hear the terms fake it till you make it, fake it till you make it,
Yeah.
which I understood part of, but I was somewhat annoyed by it. I don't like the word fake it. But, you know, I learned this as an actor. As an actor, you learn to get into character. I was directed by some really good directors in the state of Maryland, and one of them in particular, I remember, he was amazing. He wanted us to understand our character. And he would ask me, this guy, his name is Robert Ramoy. He would ask me walking down the hallways. This was I was in school. It was one of the first plays I was in. I was playing Benny Van Buren from damn Yankees, an old man. And I was,
Mm-hmm.
5 foot nothing, 100 nothing. And but he would walk by me, go, "Hey, what does Benny eat for breakfast?" And then he'd walk by, I'll go, roll my eyes, going, what in the world's he talking about? He walked by me the next day. What kind of car does he drive? Walk by me the next day. What kind of house does he live in? Walk me by the next day. What type of cereal he was eating. Until finally I looked at him, I went, what kind of cereal he's eating? He eats cornflakes because he doesn't like any Mickey Mouse cereals in front of him. And he smiled and he said, now you're getting it. And he got me to believe in this character. Learning the lines was the easy part. Understanding the character that I was playing, that was the hard part. And I think that when we struggle with our own belief, sometimes we have to get up and, maybe we've been kicked around. Maybe we've lost a couple of deals recently, lost some clients. It's not our best week, maybe not our best month or year. So you can imagine how our character, in a sense, is damaged. We're now playing the role of a wounded accountant. Okay. We're playing the role of a wounded person in business. But I look at people and go, well, no wonder the tune isn't lining up right now. But who's to say that we can't go back and think about a time maybe last year or last month where every time we picked up the phone, everybody wanted to do business with us. Every client that came in seemed so happy with what we were doing. When we can see that and feel that, almost touch it in our minds, that's the character. That's my Benny Van Buren. Then we start understanding who we're supposed to be. So sometimes the tune begins to line up. Now we walk in and maybe we are a little bit shaken in business, but right now we're playing the role of a very successful accountant. And Carol Burnett said it, and I may have said it on your show because it's one of my favorite quotes, but Carol Burnett said not that long ago, she said, the body doesn't know when the mind is acting. And what happens is when we put ourselves in positions mentally where we see ourselves a little bit more successfully and we can find it from the past, uh, the body just comes along for the ride. It's like, oh, okay. The nerves begin to go down. The voice begins to get stronger. I've actually done, I know for you, I really like talking to you, so I tend to filibuster, but I got to give you one more fast story. I experimented with this a couple times with groups of people that were unemployed, and I had rooms of people that were unemployed for at least 2 years. That was, imagine the tune that they were singing, in a sense. It was a defeated and beaten tune. And so I had them answer a couple of questions about, tell me about yourself and tell me about what you're looking for. What they didn't know was that I was actually measuring the decibels, the sound levels in the room.
Tune. Mm-hmm.
And then I said, okay, kind of went over what we're talking about. And I said, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to find that character, find that time. Can you see it? Can you feel it? Remember when everybody really wanted a piece of you? You got it? Okay. Now we're going to back into the role play. I want you to ask the same questions. I'd like you to answer them again. But I'm measuring the decibels. The room doubled in sound. I mean, it got louder. It got more animated. People were finding their rhythm a little bit. So to that friend of yours, I would say, add character to it. Find that role that they want to play and begin to develop a character for that role. It's really important.
And I think for every firm owner, it's the same thing. They have to find that role when you pass the EA or CPA exam. You know, it might not be that you have any clients yet, or you're in a down slump from, people ghosting you, or you keep sending proposals and quotes and get ghosted and then wonder why you have a large amount of AR. All of those things, you can go back to a successful moment where you are going to play the role of that successful accountant from that moment.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Love
because
it.
the fear of failure, it sneaks into our subconscious and it undermines our desire to try. And we have to be diligent and find it. Did you ever see the movie A Beautiful Mind?
I don't remember.
It's with Russell Crowe, and it's a story about a professor who had I think he was schizophrenic, but a serious issue where he would see people, and it was very difficult. He won a Nobel Peace Prize. He was brilliant, but tortured. And finally, he got on the other side of it. There's a wonderful scene near the end where he is being approached by somebody who they're going to give him this amazing award. And in the movie, you actually see these characters walking beside him. He sees them. Nobody else does. And the individual right at the end says, do you still suffer from, this issue? And these characters are sitting right next to him. Only they're paying no attention to him. He said, oh, yes. He said, they're always there. They'll always be there. He said, but you know what? I've given up on them and they've kind of given up on me at this point. And I really connected to that I think that's where we get some of this when we're shaken and we don't believe in ourselves. It's always there and it's always going to be walking beside you, but you lose interest in it and it loses interest in you, but it's never gone.
Rob, question, because part of sales and, like you said, getting to the root cause of things and where a lot of firm owners and entrepreneurs struggle is believing in ourselves. But what about getting others to believe in us? Because I truly believe that sales is, like you said, about enrolling or persuading or having the other person know that I believe in myself and this is why you should too, right? So getting others to believe in us. What would you share with a firm owner who also not only struggles with themselves, but how do they get others to believe in them?
Yeah. All right. Now, first we have to, because I want to be careful here. I want anybody who's listening to just sit down real fast because I don't want you to fall down.
Take notes.
Yeah. Just grab a bar next to you or something. Just make sure you're steady yourselves. Because I'm going to start off with, I think, one of the culprits and one of the things that I need to get off my chest, which is I think we are so obsessed with being the smartest person in the room We're so obsessed by thinking that knowledge will carry the day that I'm here to tell you that I firmly believe that knowledge, although not insignificant, I'm not telling you we can't be smart and we got continuing education. But you worked hard for that degree. I'm proud of you. But I'm answering your question, and I'm going to tell you that I think knowledge is a wee bit overrated. And when it's time, believe me, your clients will love to hear how smart you are. Problem is, a lot of times we want to lead with knowledge. We want to lead by showing people how smart we are. So one of the first things to answer your question succinctly is we have to stop talking. We have to be quiet. We have to ask questions and we have to listen. And I'm sure if I were listening to this podcast, there might be some people right now kind of rolling their eyes and going, oh, not this one again. The asking questions and listening.
No, we talk about that all the time, Rob. So this is right in alignment with everything I say, because I always talk about to the firm owners, and for those that have gotten to know me for, I don't even know, 7, 8 years now, it doesn't matter how many letters you have after your name. None of that matters, because you think people want to know the technical knowledge, the accountanese, the technical jargon, your degrees, all of that, but actually none of that matters. What matters is that people feel heard and understood. Like you said, stop talking, listen more, and being able to communicate in a way that they feel heard and understood is actually the thing that will have what I think you're going to say, people believe in you.
Exactly. The more other people talk in a conversation, typically the more they believe and like the person they're communicating with. I'm hoping this person isn't listening to this podcast, but we just went to breakfast yesterday, and I was smiling because we met somebody, another couple. We were meeting this person's friend, and she was very animated. She liked talking. I tend to like talking too, but oh boy, not yesterday. Would you believe that I finished my entire meal and she had not taken a bite? She couldn't. She was talking. Now well, I've got to tell you, very interesting person, and at the same time, interesting for a period of time. It is something that even me, the guy who writes books on this, I have to be very careful, because I sometimes want to, maybe I'm anxious and I want to impress people. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just my last name is Jolles, and we are, there are families that are the carpenters, bricklayers. Jolleses are talkers. That's my tribe. But I have to be very careful because it's weird. It's instinct versus logic. The instinct is that, if I I'm fascinating and tell you all about everything, you'll like me more. But logic states the complete opposite. So it's one of those things where I almost think you can't hear this enough. Although I'll tell you that when I do seminars on the road, I don't go into asking questions and listening. I just tell people, grab a tape recorder, grab your smartphone, whatever we got. That's typically smartphones now. And let's just record you persuading somebody to do something, sell something. And nobody's asking questions. And when they do, they're more like an interrogation than a conversation. It's all closed probes, yes or no responses. I'll get better than this in a minute. We'll build off this. But if we don't ask questions and listen, why even continue the conversation that we're having right now? Because it all starts here. This is the foundation.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. So, with a firm owner that is having a hard time having other people believe in them, and they have a hard time believing in themselves, and they are not asking open-ended, strategic, good questions, they're not listening, they're talking over people, what are some steps that you could pull from the book to tell a firm owner right now to start practicing right away? Number one, record your conversations and listen back and see how well you did. That's what I heard.
Right. Okay. So, every now and then we authors will fall in love with one of our quotes. And I'll tell you a quote I really like of mine.
Okay.
Don't think less of me for being so impressed with myself. But it's just a quote that sometimes gets buried in a book. But we know how much that means to us. And the quote is, it's often not and I have to remember my own quote now. It's often not the words, but the spaces between the words that make us believable. And so what I'm talking about right now, to answer your question, is the actual pauses that we use, where we where we slow ourselves down, where we'll speed ourselves up, where we change our inflection a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I refer to these as the 3 Ps: pitch, pace, and pause. Okay. It's like music. When we hear somebody who can't carry a tune, sometimes we refer to them as tone deaf. I wish there was a better word for it. I'm sure there is. But they just can't hear it. You hit a note, bing, and they go, ha. Right. And you go, no, bing, 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 ha, ho, ho. Okay. They just can't hear it. Some people can't really hear the sounds they're making. They're almost tone deaf that way. So a lot of times when I'm working with people is you've got the right things to say. You've written, they know what they want to say. It's just nobody believes them because it sounds like they wrote down something that they wanted to say. Elevator pitches, people are famous for this. Star stories, things like this. So we have to learn where to change our inflection. And we almost mark it up musically. I will tell you that, as weird as this sounds, when we're in character, I'm jumping back on that now, you'd be surprised at how the pitch, the pace, and the pauses seem to come out more naturally.
They happen organically.
Yeah, because now we're in character. I'm playing the role of an insurance salesman, so I might be a little bit more dominant in nature. I don't know that character anymore. It's been a while since I've sold for New York Life.
That one got put to rest.
Oh, you want to know something funny? When I was, this is, I guess, when I first discovered this, although I never figured it out. I was 21. I wanted to sell insurance. Imagine this. I wanted to sell life insurance, and I wanted to sell because I love selling, and I wanted to make the most money I could. It seemed like the life insurance was the way to go. This is 1980 now. Okay. So New York Life said, good. All you got to do is pass a personality exam. And I said, okay. And he said, you're going to go down and you're going to do this. You're going to go to this place. You're going to take this test. And as I'm walking out of the Washington Watergate office, okay, that's where this office was. I turned and I said to this manager, one last question. When I take the test, who am I? Am I Rob Jolles, or am I an insurance salesman? Because I already learned getting in character. And he said, I don't have no idea what you're talking about. And stop, he was completely annoyed with me. And he said, just take the test, Jolles. So I went and took it like Rob Jolles and got one of the worst scores they'd ever seen. Went to the office. They said, can't hire you. You're not our kind of guy. And I went, but he told me to take it like me. And he said, well, that's it. I can't help you. And I said, well, let me take it again. I'll take it as an insurance salesman. And he said, listen, you can't fool these tests. And I said, I'll pay for the test. So they let me take it again. Highest score ever registered in the Washington General Office. We had 75 active agents at the time. Highest ever achieved, because I got up. I walked in there with an empty briefcase. I wore a suit and a tie. I was in character when I took that. So every question, I didn't overthink it. I was an insurance salesman. So I'm smiling when you say that, because I have played that role before and I know how to play it.
But I think that's what you were sharing way earlier when we first started talking, fake it till you make it. You hate hearing that, and I hate hearing it too. But I think this is another way for a firm owner or business owner for you to see this. The way to succeed is to put yourself into that person that is doing that thing. And it's almost like your superhero. It's like your superhero at that time was the successful insurance agent. Like when I started my podcast, I had people telling me, oh, Michelle, you don't know how to interview. You don't know how to do this. You don't know how to do that. What has you being able to start a podcast? And this was back in like 2017. And I just said, well, who am I going to be that person who has a successful podcast? And what do I need to do? And I'm going to just do those things and see how it works out. And then it did. I mean, right out the gate, we had sponsors on my other podcast. And then I figured out I'm only working with tax, accounting, bookkeeping firm owners. And so I started the Abundant Accountant podcast about 6 months later. But on my first podcast, and even this one, if you listen to some earlier episodes, I mean, we were making 5 figures a month just in ads and sponsorships from brands. And it's like, I just started this, but I got into that character of what would a successful podcast host look like? What would they do? What would they say? All of those things is so crucial. And I think, like you had shared, that's how you passed the test at the top level. And you showed up, even though your briefcase was empty, you still had the briefcase. You're still in your suit and tie. You were that person, and you were the top, salesperson once they actually hired you. But I think it's like, if you want to be a business owner, you want to be a successful accounting firm owner, what does that firm owner have to do and be and present themselves? Then how are you going to show up to your computer every day? How are you dressed? Like, what are those things that you have to do on a daily basis right now to be that person, to get the result of having it? And in my class, I actually talk about this. I don't remember the person who came up with it, but it's like, be, do, have. You have to be this person. You're not quite yet that person, and do the things that successful person would actually do to have the result of being a successful accounting, bookkeeping, tax, fractional CFO firm owner. So you have to be in character. Same thing. You have to be in this character that you're not right now. And then you have to do those things that character would do. Like for you, you showed up to your test. You came with your empty briefcase. Like you did the props. You did the outfit. You did all those things in your mind that shifted Rob into successful insurance agent taking this test that he's already passed 100 times. I just have to do it every year for my license. That attitude.
Yeah. You nailed it. You've nailed it. Because sometimes when you start talking about, well, I got to mark this thing up, and where does my pitch go up? I mean, I'm going to actually write. You don't have to worry about that. If you're in character, your pitch will go up.
All
pitch
the time.
will go down. It'll go. If you're not, and you're thinking about, I mean, I got to tell you, these people that we're interviewing, a lot of times, what are they doing right before they turn the doorknob and walk into this interview? They're memorizing their elevator pitch again. That's not going to help you.
No.
I want you to. I got them closing their eyes and just seeing themselves as incredibly successful situations, and they walked in not arrogantly but powerfully. You don't have to use the words; it's there. My daughter one time. She was interviewing, and this was probably 4 years ago, but she was interviewing, and she said she had interviewed 4 times. She got 4 offers. And she said, I don't even know if I should go to this 5th interview. And I said, go. I said, but be careful. I don't put your feet up on the desk. I mean, you are going to be so relaxed that it could almost work against you. But imagine just 3 straight successes, what you carry into a room or into a conversation, and how you don't have to look for where you're going to change pitches or where you're going to pause or where you're going to move your pace around. It'll all take care of itself. I think it's the mind. We got to get our minds in the right place. And I'm embarrassed as a sales trainer to have been teaching sales for over 25 years at least before I even got near this topic. And I'm thinking, how did we miss this? How do you tell people how to communicate with others without at least some conversation about the sounds we make and our attention to authenticity?
Yeah. No, I love this. So good. Is there anything else, Rob, that maybe we haven't talked about yet that you feel is really important to have firm owners understand why people don't believe in them, or anything else to help them get people to not only for the firm owner to believe in themselves, but to get others to believe in them more so than what we've talked about today? Because I think this is really, really good. I think there's a lot, and, get into character, go on Amazon and buy your supplies to be that successful firm owner and all the things that you would need so you can start to be that person, do the things that person would have to have the successful firm?
I'm going to answer your question this way. I think that sometimes I can get all worked up. You're getting worked up. We're a really good. There's a lot of pitch, pace, and pause in this conversation between the two of us. Okay, which is a really good thing. But I'm going to tell you that just like putting a good hit on that golf ball we were talking about,
Yes,
doing all
yes.
these things, it doesn't guarantee success. And so all it does is improve our odds for success. Okay. And we always have to remember that we can do everything the right way and still not have the outcome come out the way we want. I don't want that to damage people. I don't want people to think, well, then why am I this is part of life. And there's one more quote I'm going to give you because it deals with hope. Because I get people a lot of times that will tell me, well, I'm going to meet with a client, but I don't want to get my hopes up. Or I'm trying to do this with the firm, but I don't want to tell anybody about it because, I don't want to get my hopes up. And so there's a lot of this hiding our hopes thing. Like, okay, well, don't be all in because you'll get your hopes will be damaged or whatever. So here's the quote. There is a penalty for hope. Okay. And the penalty for hope is disappointment. Now, I said it. Everybody take a deep breath and realize that that's really all there is. Yes. If we don't want to be disappointed, we don't have to hope for things. We can just block that and say, well, you know what? I'm going to do this, but we're not getting our hopes up on this one because we don't want to be disappointed. I look at that and I go, completely wrong. You need to reverse engineer that and say, I am going to get my hopes up. I'm going all in on this merger with this firm or bringing this in or whatever. I'm going all in. And you know what? Might not work. And when it doesn't work, if it doesn't work, I'll be disappointed. But I'd rather be disappointed and go in there hopeful, never question my hope, than be too afraid to hope.
Yeah.
So we can't let hope get in the way. We got to utilize it and realize it's not the boogeyman. Yeah. It's a little bit of disappointment. I'd be far more disappointed in myself if I was too afraid to hope and hedged my bets on certain things. Don't hedge your bets. Go full throttle in there. Go get it. Play your ball. Don't worry about anybody else's. And if it doesn't work out this time, dust yourself off.
Yeah.
Get into character. Let's get the next one. Here it is.
Yeah.
Get back into character.
Get back into character. Yeah. I love it, Rob. Well, thank you so much for being here with us on another amazing episode of the Abundant Accountant podcast. It was lovely to pitch, pace, and pause with you today. And if someone wants to get one of your books, because I think they should, where is the best place to go? And spell your name slowly for them.
Yeah, it's Jolles, Jolles, Rob, and his first name. And really any bookstore online. Sometimes I can even find me in a Barnes & Noble, but physically. But that's not easy because there's gazillions of books coming out every day. But if you go to Amazon, and I have an author's page and things like that, so you'll see all my books on there. And
awesome.
Have at it.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us. It was a complete honor, and I look forward to having you back again.
It was an absolute pleasure. Great talking to you again.
What an amazing episode with Rob. I mean, just so many great things. I would love to say that the two most important things that you should have in your notes is to focus on your own game. Pretend you are on the PGA Golf Tour. You're playing golf for 4 days, and it's day number 3, and maybe you're going to take a peek at what another firm owner might be doing today because it's the last 2 or 3 holes. But up until then, you're only focusing on yourself and your own game. We have to stop comparing ourselves, stop talking to other firm owners, stop seeing what other people are pricing their services at, etc. Just focus on you. I love that so much. And I would say the other thing is we have to put ourselves into character. If you have not figured out yet who that character is, that's your homework. Sit down, pencil out 20 to 30 different attributes that your character has. Because like you said, there is a penalty for hope. And if you keep hoping things are going to change without making a conscious effort, you will have disappointment. So there's ways that we can actually work on this on our mindset to make these shifts. So who do you need to be to do the things that you need to do to get the different results that you want to get in your firm? And that is the homework that I would put into play right away. And if you've ever gotten off a sales call, or you continue to keep giving away free advice, or you just continue to feel yourself caving in when it's time to say your price in a sales meeting, you are not alone. Most firm owners, like you, have an incredible skill set, but you have zero structure around your sales and your mindset is a little wobbly. And it's costing you thousands of dollars every single month. Here at The Abundant Accountant, I help you shift from giving away your time to commanding your value without feeling sleazy or aggressive, so you know the exact words on what to say and you'll never freeze up again. If you would like to explore the challenges and the things that have kept you from getting to your goals in your firm, go to theabundantcall.com and book your free strategy call with me and my team. Let's turn those conversations you're having into conversions and money in your bank account. Okay? So if you're ready to uncover those hidden obstacles that are hindering your firm's growth, visit theabundantcall.com to schedule your complimentary strategy session with me and my team. On our call, we'll analyze your current practice, we'll identify the revenue blockers, and we will craft a personalized roadmap for you to potentially see how you can double or if not triple your firm revenue without the need to chase new clients. Okay? And if you find our discussion valuable and you wish to collaborate further, we will outline how we could work together and implement what we talk about on our call. And if you prefer to proceed independently, that's perfectly fine too. And perhaps you can send us referrals in the future. But remember, the only missed opportunity is not taking action. So go to theabundantcall.com, secure your spot, and we look forward to speaking to you soon. Remember, there is the penalty for hope, and it's disappointment. So don't keep hoping things will change. Take action and make the change.